Alright guys, hello and welcome to the Mole Dota 2 tournament. My name is Nino and I'll be your English caster for today, and we're here with Fortune X versus Empire Gaming. This is I believe it's the 6th game of the day. There's 9 games out in total for today, and this is going to be the 6th one. Unfortunately, I missed the first set of games, so I wasn't there to cast any of them, but hopefully obviously I'm going to be here for this game and also the game afterwards. I'm not sure who I'll be casting. I'll figure that out for you, and also I'll let you guys figure it out if you want to jump through each of the streams or each of the games to figure out where if you want to follow me. But if you don't, that's completely fine. We're going to head straight into the draft. We're here with Fortune X versus Empire Esports. We're in a 16-player double elimination now. So we're in the final phase of the tournament, and whoever loses this game, they'll be dropped down into the losers bracket. So they have another chance to make a comeback into the finals for the Mole Dota 2 tournament. But if they're knocked out in the losers bracket, they're out, they're gone, they don't have any more chances. So that's going to be unfortunate for whoever loses those first set of loser games. Anyways, aside from that, we're still in the upper brackets. Everyone's in the upper brackets. Yeah, everyone here is in the upper brackets. Oh, I can't cast today. Oh well, we'll just jump straight into the draft. We have a Brewmaster and a Necrolite band for Fortune, whereas Empire, they go for the 2 heavy pushing heroes as their first 2 bands, the Lycan and the Death Prophet. Quite understandable. Death Prophet also an amazing team fighter, just having access to the Exorcism. It can provide burst damage also with the Crypt Swarm, as well as the extended amount of damage with her Exorcism Ghosts if she can survive during the first onslaught of those team fights. Lycan, great split pusher, and also having access to Howl, which means that his whole teammate gets additional damage. So really they're going to be right clicking more than the opponents naturally, just because of the Howl coming from the Lycan. Fortune, their 2 bands. Brewmaster, pretty obvious ban. If you don't want to deal with the Brewmaster, who has amazing team fight with the Spirits and also just being there with Thunderclap and also being incredibly tanky in general, good ban there. And Necrolite, he has been quite popular in the tournament, and I can understand why. He is tanky, he's a great mech carrier, and his ultimate is so annoying. It adds a 30-second extra time to your death timer, and that's massive during the early game of early phase of the game. If you get an early Reaper's Scythe, a level 6 Reaper's Scythe on anyone during that period, their 20-second death timer suddenly turns into 50 seconds, and if that's a carry, that means that's time that they're not on the map, and then that's crucial for any carry. You don't want to die to a Necrolite, but there's no Necrolite. And we also have the first 2 picks of both teams have been drafting incredibly quickly, or have been talking incredibly slowly, but we'll jump right into our Viper and Earthshaker picks for Fortune X. So Viper, already a mech carrier. Both teams are already picking up their mech carriers in the Razor and the Viper. So Viper going to be the mech carrier for Fortune X, whereas Earthshaker, he's going to be that 4th or 5th position support. And Earthshaker, very popular support in this tournament. He's been incredibly annoying with the fissures. He can block enemies away from his teammates if they are being engaged, or he can block the escape route for the enemy if he places it right, or if he's in the right position. And with the Blink Dagger, if the Earthshaker can get an early Blink Dagger, he can be really annoying during these team fights with the Fissure, with the Echo Slam, and also with the Enchant Totem. You don't want to underestimate the Enchant Totem. Just having that extra duration of stun is crucial for some of these fights. Just having half a second stun could save a teammate, or it can secure that last second kill, especially if you're any of those mobile heroes that have Blink. Empire, they have the Tidehunter, so a massive team fighter already for them. Great initiator, and also going to be their offlane this game. If they don't want to put the mech on the Razor, Tidehunter is also a viable mech carrier. So keep that in mind. They're quite flexible with their mech pickers at the moment. We'll have to see who they want to put the mech on. If they want Razor to really be that hard-hitting DPS, which he doesn't do as well as certain other heroes, but he can do it if you give him the space and time. So if they don't want to put the mech on him, they can definitely get maybe that fast Aghanims just for that push and put the mech on the Tidehunter. Completely up to them. Second phases of bans already been done by both teams. Doomban and Skywrath Mage ban from Fortune X, so 2 heroes with silencers already eliminated with the Skywrath Mage. Great support with the concussive shot, so that's a massive starting slow. And also being able to nuke heroes quite down with his ultimate, the Mystic Flare. If you have something to set the stun up, then you can definitely burst someone from 100 to nothing. Whereas Doom, having the ultimate on the Doom, if you doom somebody, they essentially just turn into a big fat creep. Creep with a lot of HP and gives a lot of gold. So if you can kill that giant creep, then that's great for you. If you don't, that's fine. It just means that hero who is silenced for that whole duration, they can't do anything for the team fight. So it's essentially 4v5. 2 bans for Empire Esports. They're banning out a lot of push heroes right now. They have the ban on the Nature's Prophet and the Naga Siren, so 2 more great pushers eliminated from the pool. Nature's Prophet just being that annoying hero who, if he doesn't do well in the offlane, he can always go into the jungle for his team, although I'm not too sure if Fortune X really want to pick up the Nature's Prophet. I guess it was an option, but it's banned out anyways. And also the Naga ban. So Fortune, they won't have access to the Naga if they wanted to have a carrier that was going to split push. Although there is still a Terrorblade in the pool, and Terrorblade's pretty good at split pushing too. You're just going to have to give him a little bit of space to farm. He's not like the Naga, where Naga has access to her Song of the Siren, so if she's in trouble, she'll just pop her ultimate, teleport away, and she's completely fine. Coming into our second group of picks from both teams, both of them picking up supports. Jakiri for Fortune X, they're pairing up Jakiri with the Earthshaker. Great combo. These 2 heroes, you see these 2 heroes a lot together. So if you see an Earthshaker or a Jakiri picked up first, expect the other one to be picked up because they're great long-range initiators and also really good long-range disruptors. Jakiri having the Ice Path, so if anyone caught in the Ice Path, they're stunned for the whole duration. So if you can get a 3-man Ice Path, that is huge in those team fights, especially if you're getting it to set up any of those big combos. Empire Esports, they have the Rubik and they also pick up a Slark, so it looks like Tidehunter most definitely the offlane. Slark would most likely be that safe lane farmer. Razor going to be mid and going to be babysat by the Rubik. So Empire, they need one more support with their lineup. They don't have great push. I'm looking at their lineup. They have some pretty good team fight as of now, but they don't have anything for pushing. Tidehunter not a great pusher. Razor not a great pusher until he gets that Aghanim Scepter. So until then, I'm not going to really consider Razor a pusher. Rubik, he has to rely on whatever he picks up from Fortune X. They don't have great push. They don't really have great push. Jakiri has the Liquid Fire, but Rubik can't really steal Liquid Fire, so I'm going to count that out. He can steal the Dual Breath if he wants to, but I presume the Jakiri player probably won't level up or max the Dual Breath, so that's not going to be dealing much damage, but it will give him a slow. So it is an option if Rubik wants to steal that, but I think the Rubik will most likely be looking at this Earthshaker or the Viper. Viper, the only spell Viper really has is his ultimate, so Rubik will always have 100% uptime on stealing the Razor ultimate if there's nothing left available for him. In Fortune X, they have some more team fight for them as well. They have the Centaur Warrunner, which will be their main sort of initiation with the Stampede, and if he can get that early Blink Dagger, he will be able to do the Blink Hoof Stomp double edge combo, followed up by, if the supports are there, it'll probably be a stun from the Earthshaker, Ice Path from Jakiro, Dual Breath, Liquid Fire, Enchant Totem, pretty much anything they want, and I'm presuming a lot of these heroes from Empire will die to that combo. Only exceptions will probably be that Tidehunter, and if the Razor does pick up that mech, then Razor's going to be a little more difficult to kill, but this Slark and Rubik, they're going to be susceptible to being ganked up. Slark, he is slippery, and if you don't lock him down for the whole duration, he can pop his ultimate, use the Dark Pact, and most likely the Slark can get out. Last 2 bans from both teams, Silencer and the Faceless Voids. The Empire, they don't ban a split pusher anymore. They ban a initiator and also pretty good carry from the Faceless Void. No Chronosphere for any of these teams, and also Void's a really good late game carry if you give him the space. And Fortune, they're definitely looking into getting they can pick a mid or they can pick a safe lane, and if they picked up the Faceless Void, it would have been pretty great with Fortune's combo. Jakiri able to throw out all of his spells in the Chronosphere, and Viper able to just throw out the Viper Strike and just right-click anyone down in the Chronosphere. But no Chronosphere, and also a no Silencer, so no Global Silence for Empire Esports if that's what they were thinking in picking up. It would have been a little bit greedy in all honesty, just because they have very few stuns. They only have the Rubik as their constant stun. They have the leash from the Slark Pounce, and they also have the Tidehunter ultimate. But Tidehunter, you don't really want to count that as a stun during ganks unless you're going to actually use it that freely. If it's for team fights, and you're going to have to save that Tidehunter ultimate. Whereas Fortune, they have 3 stuns already, and these are not ultimates. These are standard spells. So they're going to have these up all the time and ready for any of these engagements. What does Empire want to pick up? They have their safe lane. I really think it has to be that support. That last support, they want to pair it with Rubik, but what do they want to put him together with? I think they need some sort of spell, really, like Spell Burst. I'm trying to think of a couple of supports that might be. They probably could go. Might be a bit greedy. They could go for the Ancient Apparition, but it just means that the Rubik AA combo, it's not going to be. Actually, no, it'll be pretty strong. No, they go for the Treant Protector. Interesting. So Empire, they pick up two pretty good team fighters, Tidehunter and Treant Protector. They'll have the Treant and the Treant Ultimate. I actually haven't casted any Treant games. They have the Overgrowth and they have the Tidehunter Ravage. So that's kind of two massive AoE spells to lock down Fortune X with, as well as having the Leech Seed that's going to be able to heal the team up a little bit, and also having the... Oh my goodness, they have the Living Armor as well that they can cast on anybody. So Empire's lineup, they're going to be hard to gank, especially with this tree on their team. And Fortune, they pick up a mid instead of a safe lane. Unless they want to put the Tinker safe lane, I think they would put the Tinker mid, put the Viper safe lane so he can grab that mech. I'm not too sure. I have casted a couple of Tinker games and teams have actually put the Tinker in that safe lane. Oh my god. So we'll have to see how Fortune where do they want to put that Tinker? Do they want to put the Tinker middle, where Tinker normally is, or do they want to put him up against that in the safe lane so he can get that fast boots of travels? Yeah, so it looks like Viper, he is going to go in that safe lane and grab that farm for the early mech. They're going to leave the Tinker middle up against, looks like a Razor. Yeah, so it's a mid Razor. So Tinker, he won't do too bad. He is a ranged hero. He's not going to be harassed out too much, but he has to be a little careful. He can still get nuked down by the Razor's static, not the static, by the plasma field. And he can also get right click down and have his damage stolen by the static link. So let's introduce these two teams really quickly while the game is paused. Much easier for me as a caster. On the side of Empire, we have Mr. D. MRDY. I'm going to call him Mr. D because that sounds pretty cool. We have Physics on the Rubik, Leo on the safe lane Slark. Slark's got he's got a pretty heavy weight to carry on his shoulders because at the moment, he and Razor, they're the only two main DPS for the team. Tide, he does do some decent physical damage with the Anchor Smash, but aside from his spells, he's not going to be doing much right click, or not much damage. It's just mainly Anchor Smash that's going to be his source of damage. Tree, he doesn't do that great damage. He has some pretty good right click, but it's pretty slow because of his attack speed. And Rubik, he's going to have to rely on anything that he steals. He could probably steal a couple of Tinker's spells to really get some damage going his way, but we'll see how they want to execute that. Let's continue the introduction. We have Hermione A on the Razor, and lastly in the off lane, we have Pisces on our Tidehunter. Nice name, matches the hero. Pisces, the star sign for fish, whereas Tide, he is a Leviathan. On the side of Fortune, we have BB Julius on the safe lane Viper. He needs to get that fast mech for his team so they can start those team fights relatively early. We have a stand-in playing in on the Earthshaker. His name is Lawless High. On the Jakiri, we have another stand-in. His name is Bolt Fortune. He has a smoke and he also has Observer wards. Looks like he wants to stick the ward up here. He's waiting for it. He's waiting. We have another stand-in. Is their whole name just... I don't know if they're all just called stand-ins, maybe. We have stand-in RDC on the on the Central War Runner, and then we also have stand-in Rams Ronin on the Tinker. I think it's just a team name. Maybe they just call themselves stand-in. I'm not too sure. It's a little confusing for me as a caster. But the game will begin, and we'll have to see how these lanes unfold. Centaur, he's probably not going to be having too great a time in this lane, but he did plop down an Observer ward, so he knows any rotations coming in this way, and most likely going to see a little bit here. Actually, he won't see that much. It's only going to see here. Only see there. Oh my goodness, excuse my drawings. My drawings are pretty bad. Okay, so open the last hits and denies charts, and we'll see how everyone goes for the first 5 minutes. The game will be determined by not only just by getting the farm, but also if you can get those items, if you can get those pickoffs on heroes, just to deny them time in their lane. If you can really harass anyone down to no regen, that's relatively good for you. And normally this happens to the off lane, so we're going to have to see which of the two off lanes do better. And it looks like the Tidehunter is getting the better end of the stick at the moment because there's no supports to harass him down. There is the Jakiri. He is farming up in this safe lane camp. He actually does a single pull. So interesting decision from him. Do they want to go for an early push? There is a stun on the Jakiri. He did not go for that first point in Liquid Fire. Earthshaker, he is solo smoking to that middle lane. He wants to grab a kill on this Razor so that he can give a head start to his mid Tinker. And Tinker, He's going to need this, especially when the Razor gets a lot of farm, and at the moment, he's going to static link the Tinker. And Earthshaker actually rotating up top. They want to grab a kill on this Tidehunter. He's going to be pretty tanky. He's going to be one of the harder kills to grab. But there is the ping, and there is going to be a fissure in a moment. There goes the fissure. There is a hole here, so he can walk out in the Ice Path, missing out on the Tidehunter. But do they have the damage to get him? There is the living armor from the tree, and are they going to do enough damage? Earthshaker is chasing the Tidehunter. Is he going to get the hit? There we go. First blood going to the Earthshaker. So Earthshaker going to be happy with that kill. I was a bit confused on that Mass's face on the side. I thought maybe he would have stood here and threw out the fissure there, but oh well. Earthshaker still gets the kill. He's going to be happy with that, and he gets the invisibility runes. If he wants to use that to try and set up another kill, he most certainly can. There's no mana on Tinker, so no kill potential on this middle lane, because Razor can always just static link the Tinker, and basically his physical damage will be nullified. And here he is, we have our Earthshaker again. He's hiding behind the trees. He wants to grab a kill on the solo safe lane Tidehunter. Tidehunter just being pushed back by that kill. He's not going to be happy with himself, but that's the life of an offlane. The chances are you'll die, and if you don't, then you're pretty lucky. Earthshaker still roaming around. They want to grab a kill somewhere. He's not staying in lane, which I really like, this Earthshaker roaming. If he can grab kills for his team, it's really great. And also, if he can just roam around and make the enemy scared, thinking that, oh, there might be an Earthshaker in my lane, make them play pretty defensive rather than aggressive, then that's going to be great for you too. Bottle picked up on the Razor, so Razor definitely getting some good farm in this lane, whereas the Tinker, is he going to go? He actually went for Soul Ring first, so he's not going to go rushing straight for those boots. Boots of travel, so he probably thinks he's going to have an okay time in the lane. Let's take a look at the bottom with the Centaur. Let's see how Centaur's doing. He's not faring too well. He's only got 3 last hits, but he's actually doing a tiny bit better than the Tidehunter. There are boots on the Centaur Warrunner. He is actually going to be telekinesis pulled back, and Slark, he's not going to go for the pounce. He's still in tower range, and if Slark decided to go on that, chances are there would have been a stun thrown out by the Centaur, and he would have had to tank a couple of those town pot shots. Actually, there is the leap there, and that's going to be a kill on the Centaur Warrunner. So moving a little bit too ahead of himself, probably underestimating the damage from those 2 heroes. Living armor thrown out onto the Tidehunter, trying to make his life a little bit easier. Liquid fire thrown out onto the tower by the Jakiri. So slowly but surely, Jakiri, he is putting points in the liquid fire, and he is going to start wearing down those towers. And that's what they need. If they can grab those towers relatively early, that means it's going to be more gold going to their team, which is what they really need. Tinker needs this gold. So does the Viper, so he can get that mech. Viper without gold, he's not that great unless you're going to be using him as that physical damage dealer, but they need that mech for those team fights, because there's going to be a ton of damage coming out from Empire for maybe the first 20 minutes really. Later on in the game, they're going to have to rely on physical DPS. There is the stun onto this. They do get the kill on the Slark, double edge, and the stomp coming in. Centaur dropping down quite low, but Earthshaker, he is here. He has no stun though, but he is here just to help his Centaur Warrunner so that he's not gone on by these 2 supports. There's no mana actually on the Rubik. He's got no mana at all, no clarities. So clarity, there's a clarity on the Treant Protector if he wants to share that with the Rubik. They're going to have to if they want a telekinesis. There's a pounce from the Slark. Is there a stomp? Yes, there is a stomp available by the Centaur Warrunner, and there's a fissure, but the fissure not completely blocking the Slark, and Slark, he is looking for the Centaur, but oh no, Rubik sees him instead. Oh no, Rubik actually doesn't want to hit him. Slark going around the outside. He has boots. He is pretty fast, but Slark, he is going to be healed up by the Treant Protector, and he's going to go onto the Earthshaker instead. Oh no, Treant Protector does find the Centaur Warrunner, and this might be a kill going to the Slark again. So Slark, he does get the kill. He didn't actually get the first kill. Who did the first kill go to? Rubik. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, friends. But yeah, that's 300 gold. About 300 of it going to the Slark, and a little bit extra to his teammate. And Viper slowly harassing it. Actually, might be able to grab a kill on the Tidehunter. He is dealing some nice damage here. He's got 2 points in the poison, 2 points in the nether toxin, and only 1 in the corrosive skin. He's not afraid. He's not maxing out the corrosive skin. So he's playing pretty aggressive just for where he is at the moment. Tinker still sitting on the high ground, not too sure what he was doing there. I'm guessing he was actually pulling the camp for himself. There is 1 stack here, and there's another stack up there. So his team preparing the jungle for the Tinker so that he can actually farm those boots of travels pretty quickly. And this Rubik's got arcane boots, so he's pretty rich. Bounty rune snagged by the Razor, who's also hasted. This Razor, he's going to do tons of damage to these two heroes on the side of Fortune. He's coming into the bottom. There was the Pounce and the Dark Pack from the Slark, but there's a nice fissure coming out from the Earthshaker, but Slintor, he's definitely going to die. There's a hasted Razor. You're not going to get away from that. And he's going to go after the Earthshaker. A little bit greedy there. Tidehunter dying up top, being caught out by that. Yeah, being caught out by the Viper and Earthshaker. No, he was going to throw out the fissure. There was creep vision, but he does manage to TP out in time. So Razor, he won't get picked off in the end. But that play just now, he was actually quite greedy, thinking about passing the tower just to grab the extra kill. But he doesn't die in the end, so it was okay. He still snags that one kill. And Tinker already farming the jungle. So he sees he really needs the gold. He's picked up the boots. He's not going straight for the recipe rush. So he's playing pretty safe at the moment. He's going to be pretty difficult to kill once he has these boots of travel, because Empire, like I said earlier on, they don't really have that many stuns. If you want to consider anything that cancels a TP, Slark's Pounce does not cancel TP. Telekinesis does. The Treant Overgrowth does. It's actually a relatively short cooldown, but it's still an ultimate. It's got a longer cooldown. And there's also the Tidehunter Ravage. So if you want something to cancel a TP, if you want to commit a big ultimate for a single kill, it has to be for a good reason. So if you're only going to grab a support kill, do you really want to waste an ultimate for that? Because if the enemy sees that a big ultimate has been used to grab a little kill, they may capitalize on the cooldown of that ultimate. So Tidehunter gonna have to be careful and really think twice about using his Ravage just to cancel anything little. Whereas the Overgrowth on the Treant Protector, yeah, you can probably expel that a little bit more easily, just because it's not a true stun, but rather the end snare. Centaur playing really greedy here with the Earthshaker. These two heroes here for Fortune playing extremely greedy, so they're really scaring off Empire, which is a play I really like. They really need to scare this safe lane, because they don't want to give too much farm to Slark. He's got treads. Oh, there's a Stampede and the Fissure and the Double Edge, and that is the dropping of the Slark. And there was a Telekinesis pushback into the tower, but Centaur looks like he's going to be able to get out in time. He's really quick, and actually there's none of the supports here on Empire are fast enough to catch him, so he will get away. And also pretty cleanly with that kill. They grab 300 gold, 320 on the Centaur, and the rest of it going to the Earthshaker. So nice little injection of gold to those two heroes. And Fortune definitely getting the better end of these trades, I believe. Even there might be a couple of little kills. But the Slark kill just now is pretty big. We're looking at the graph real quickly. EXP earned. Fortune, they are ahead by about 1.5k. So it's still early in the game, but a little lead is still a little lead. For gold, it's looking a little bit better. So closing in on that 4k net worth lead. So they're definitely getting the gold in their favor. We'll take a look at net worth real quick. It's only 9 minutes, but it's going to make a big deal during that later phase of the game when they have those items. Mech, is that the full mech? That's a full mech picked up on the Viper. So with this free farm, Viper has picked up the mech, and I missed a kill down the bottom. Centaur being picked off by the Slark. Jakiri is down here as well, and it might be a double kill here. There are 4 heroes for Empire. They pick the double kill, they get the offlaner, and they also get the support Jakiri. So nice 2 kills. They did rotate their mid Razor, and they also rotated the offlane Tidehunter, but he didn't use his Ravage, so nice decision to not use any of those big team fights for a couple of those kills, really saving it for when their team really needs it. You don't want to use those spells willy-nilly. And Razor has used his ultimate. No, so they actually have a lot of their ultimates available. The only one they don't have is the Shadow Dance on the Slark. So Slark going to back off. There is the Viper here rotated in by Fortune. They really want to make a defense. They don't want them to push into that T2 tower, because if they grab that early tower, that's going to be a pretty big gold dip for Empire. So they're going to back off, they're going to wait, and they're going to try and farm up some more gold. So getting that tower, really beneficial for them. And it looks like the Slark rotated up top. He's picked up a Bracer. He's going for the drums. So he's got the Bracer, he's got the Robe of the Magi, and he just needs the recipe now, which is not too far off. He should get it in about 2 minutes. And Tinker still farming the jungle. He's actually almost got his bits of travel. So Tinker's almost come online as well. He hasn't had free farm. He's kind of been bullied out of that lane by the Razor, but he is making up by going into the jungle. So Fortune definitely helping out their mid. They're not leaving him on his own, just telling him, hey, we're here for you, dude. If you need us, we are here. Okay, back to last hits. And I just missed a Viper kill down on the Tidehunter, which was down bottom. And Jakiro, he was thinking about throwing another Ice Path on the Rubik, but they're not going to go for that because there was the tree here just to throw out the heal onto the Rubik if they needed to. But there is a Jakiro roaming around the side. He does see the Rubik. He is actually here to plop down a Observer Ward, so they do know if any heroes decide to rotate in through the back. There is the Tinker. He's going to throw the March just by the tree, just so that heroes don't actually decide to engage on the Tinker, and that's going to be a free tower out of Fortune. So they've got 2 towers once this one's dropped, and middle's pretty low too. That's actually going to be TP support. There is the Tidehunter. He has the Ravage. There is an Ice Path thrown out on the Tidehunter, but will they get the tower? There's the Ravage. It only hits the 2 heroes. There is the mech popped by the Viper. There's the Stampede. Jakira's going to get out safely, and so is the Viper, and they do get the tower as well just from the dual breath from the Jakiro. Nice stun onto the Slark. Slark pouncing onto the Viper, but he might actually die here. Nice Echo Slam from the Earthshaker, grabbing the kill on the Slark, so that's a safe lane Slark down, but there is a Razor here, and he is stealing damage from the Viper, but he is being slowed by the corrosive skin, and he might actually get picked off here. Viper, he's not afraid. There's a Fissure from the Earthshaker. They get the mid Razor as well, so nice pickups there for Fortune, whereas Empire losing their 2 core heroes. They might lose their 3rd here in the offlane Tidehunter. He's trying to run away, but there is a Tinker TPing in, and this is going to be the end. There's the March, there's the Rockets. There was an Enchant Totem Gush thrown out onto the Earthshaker, but that was probably a revenge Gush saying, Earthshaker! Yeah, let's not do that. I was trying to do a Kunkka Tidehunter reference, but no. It did not work out. So nice kills there going to Fortune, grabbing all 3 cores as well from the side of Empire. And there's an invisibility rune picked up on the Tinker. No, he's going to pop his ultimate and he's going to return back to base. So let's look at current gold real quick. Viper in the lead. Actually, 2 of the cores on the side of Fortune are in ahead. Actually, they have the most current gold at the moment. And this Earthshaker, he is getting closer and closer to this Blink Dagger. And it's only 12 minutes as well, having 1.5k gold on a support. This looks like a 4th position because the Jakiro has been buying wards. So 4th position roaming Earthshaker. He has been doing extremely well for himself. He hasn't died yet, surprisingly, getting 2 kills for himself. And with this tower, he's going to get closer and closer to that Blink Dagger. Ice Path thrown out onto the Rubik. There is a stun also from the Centaur Warrunner. Double Edge finishing off the Rubik. And there is a Razor TPing and is stealing damage from the Tinker. But do you really want to steal it from a spell? For a spellcaster from Tinker. There's a nice Ice Path keeping the Razor there. The Razor is going to die. There was a buyback from the Rubik. He actually gets picked off as well. So that's a dieback from the Rubik. And Slark, he is trying to look for something. He's looking for this Viper kill here. Viper, he has no mech, but he does have the Magic Wand charges. There's a Dark Pact and Viper throwing out the poison to slow down the Slark. Centaur is here to help him. There's a double edge on the Slark, and that's going to be the kit. No, Slark's not going to die. He is actually quite far ahead. No, he still dies to the Viper corrosive skin. So that poison just nicking the Slark. So Empire again losing a pretty big team fight. That was also a dieback from the Rubik. So Rubik losing a significant amount of gold from that. He's down to 52 gold, unfortunately. So the poor Rubik, who had those early arcane boots, not doing too well in these engagements. He is relatively squishy. And is that Blink Dagger? That's the Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker. So he did get the gold he needed for that Blink Dagger. So this Earthshaker, now he is going to be a big problem for Empire during these big engagements, just because he's going to be a threat. Being able to blink and throw out the Echo Slam, or even blink and throw out a Fissure and the Enchant Totem just to stall while his teammates can really deal the damage. And if you can give space to that Tinker, who can sit in the back, throw out all the spells that he needs to, then they can definitely clean up these fights pretty easy. So Empire pretty behind at the moment. They need to get some crucial kills and also pick up some of those important items. There's another stack. Okay, so Tidehunter going to continue on in this ancient stack. He is very poor. He has arcane boots. He didn't go for anything else, and he's really nowhere near that Blink Dagger. So Tidehunter, unfortunately, behind the Earthshaker in terms of net worth. Earthshaker living the life right now, living in a condo, having that Ferrari he's always wanted in the Blink Dagger. And there's a smoke rotation here for Fortune. They want to grab another kill. They're looking at this Razor. He is sitting at the tower and he has the mech. So they put the mech on the Razor. He's not going to have any damage items. There's the Blink and the Stomp coming in from the Centaur Ice Path, and also the Rockets and Tinker getting the kill from the Razor bounty. So this Tinker slowly getting fatter and fatter. So Fortune making tons of space for his team. And Stampede thrown out for the Viper, who was going to get picked off by these 3 heroes, but he does manage to get out relatively tanky. He actually popped the mech charge as well to survive the onslaught. So the mech definitely paying off for him, and there is support in this Earthshaker for him. But I think Viper should just completely back out. The rest of his team, Earthshaker and Centaur, the 2 best friends, they are here in case anything decides to happen with their team. Slark, he's still farming up top. He's only got his drums now. What's he going to go for next? He needs to go for some cheap items, or he has to get some space to really farm up a big item. He needs HP. That's probably the biggest problem with him at the moment. He's just being bursted down so quickly during these team fights that he just can't do any damage without also dying himself. So he might actually have to go for a first item BKB just to survive the Ice Path, just to get over the Hoof Stomp, also the Echo Slam and the Fissure, and also just to not get hurt by the Tinker. The whole side of Fortune are dealing tons of damage, whereas Empire, they do have some great counter initiation with their heroes, as actually mainly the Tide Hunter. They also have the Overgrowth from the Treant, but it's not as great as Tide. It's only an end snare. It's not going to prevent damage. Not going to prevent spells, but you can say it's maybe a good counter initiation in chasing. So maybe if Treant's going to pop the ultimate to let the Slark escape, then that's definitely a viable option, because it has a relatively cooldown. You want to use the Treant ultimate as much as you can. If it can save someone, or if it can grab a kill, just go for it. Even if you don't grab it, it's going to be off cooldown relatively quickly. But there is a 3-man smoke rotation here for Fortune. They want to pick the Slark again, but they're going to ping the Tide Hunter instead. They see the Tide Hunter. There's the blink in from the Earthshaker, and also the Centaur will run at the 2 brothers. They do get the kill together on the Tide Hunter, and there is an Ice Path, but it's not going to grab anyone. Rubik, he did manage to get out in time. This Razor, he is still farming the jungle. What does he need? What does he need? Does he really need a defensive item? I really think he's in the same position as this Slark. He's not actually quite tanky enough to survive the damage. Enchant Totem popped by the Earthshaker. He wants to have some damage during these fights, but he's only got 74 plus 74, so it's roughly 158 damage. So it's only a level 1 enchant totem. It's not doing anything like that absurd 400% bonus damage. This might be an easy tower for Fortune X as well, but they do have to worry about the initiation possibility from Empire, but they do have some great counter initiation. How do they want to go about this? There is the Ravage on the Tide Hunter. He is the one furthest forward. The 2 supports for Empire, they are behind the Tide Hunter, just in case Tide does get initiated on, but the Razor, he is quite far away. There is the blink hit from the Centaur. They're going to go straight for the Rubik. Rubik getting popped straight away. Ultimate also popped by both ultimates popped by the 2 tanky heroes from Empire. So the Tide Hunter, Ravage, and also the Empower. There's the ultimate from the Razor. But Viper throwing out his ultimate onto... Oh my goodness, I can't speak. Jakiro getting picked off by the Slark, so Slark able to get a small kill there, popping the Shadow Dance as well, but he is standing in this March of Machines, so he is taking some significant damage, also being finished up by the Viper. So 2 heroes on the side of Empire, but those 2 cores picked off, but they also lost their support Rubik, so 3 heroes down, whereas Fortune, they lost the support Jakiro, and they also lost their offlane Centaur, but they definitely got the better end of that trade, getting 2 cores over having 1 core and the support. Earthshaker going to pick up a bounty rune. What does this Earthshaker want to pick up? I'm pretty interested in seeing how the Earthshaker wants to item progress. Maybe if he wants to go for Reveal, he probably could. If he wants to go for an Ags, if he's feeling relatively lucky, he most definitely could. Or if he wants to grab some team utility, something a little bit different, maybe a Shivas. So when he blinks in, pop the Shivas. It's going to throw not only a little nuke, but also a slow for Empire. So that's going to be relatively difficult for them to really get out of those. Shiva really great with the movement slow, so Slark, he won't have too much of an issue, but Razor, he might find it to be a annoyance really. But no, he decides to go for a cheap item for his team, the Medallion, probably going to use that for the Roshan. So good decision there, picking up something nice and cheap for his team, not going too greedy for anything really that big. Let's take a look at quick item progressions before anything happens. There is an invisible Jakiri. We will be watching this bottom lane. No, he's only plopping down a ward. So we have, unfortunately for Tide, he's sitting on 1.4k gold. It's almost 20 minutes. He's not close to that Blink Dagger as of yet, but if he can survive any of these team fights and maybe even grab a kill for himself, he can he can get that Blink Dagger pretty quickly. He is committing a lot of time to farming though, so he's not going to be out on the map with his team aggressively getting any of those kills. Slark, he's not grabbed much, but he has 2.1k gold. What does he want to go for? He has the Orb of Venom. It might be a Skadi. There is an ultimate from the Centaur Warrunner. They're actually going to really go for the kill on the Razor. There's the Fissure. There was a double edge as well, and they do grab the kill there. They are going to be able to get out, and Rubik, he's got to be careful. He can get bursted down, only sitting on 700 HP. And this is going to be another tower going to Fortune X. Continuing on with these item progressions, Razor, he has got the Ogre Club, but he's not going to be anywhere near that BKB for a while. He is getting picked off a lot. He has died 5 times. He has gotten 4 kills himself though, so he's got a couple of kills. He has 1 assist, but he's still not having that great of a game. Rubik, it's a Rubik. We're not going to be expecting many items from him unless he's in the same position as this Earthshaker, getting a lot of these kills and being able to initiate for his team. And Tree, same as him. It looks like he's going for a Blink Dagger, but poor Slark, actually too far out of his base, getting picked off by all the heroes on Fortune X. Or Double Edge not being able to finish off from the lift by the Rubik. So Rubik, fast fingers, they're able to save himself from the double edge damage, and he does manage to go back to base. And this tower is going to drop relatively quickly unless Empire really wants to mount in defense, but they have to be careful. Is there a Tidehunter Ravage? There is a Ravage available, and is there an ultimate from the tree? They do have that as well, so 2 big ultimates on their side is ready. But even with the big ultimates, do they have enough damage to really kill any of these heroes? The Viper, pretty tanky. Jakiri looks like he might be the tankiest on the team. Yeah, I think this Jakiri is probably Jakiri's the squishiest, I'm sorry. But Jakiri, he's the squishiest one. He'll be the easiest one to pick off. But if you only get 1 kill and you lose 3 pretty important heroes, it's not going to be that worth it. So they're going to let the Jakiri go up forward. There is the pounce on Jakiri. There is the Ice Path as well. Getting 3 heroes. A nice Ice Path there. And Viper going on to... Oh, that actually was a stolen Fissure. They might be able to grab the Viper here. He has a BKB and he is fighting up against the Slark. Slark going to run away for a little bit. There is the ultimate from the tree, grabbing all those heroes and leaving them in place. There is a nice Tidehunter Ravage as well. They're going to get the Viper, but they're going to lose the tree. And looks like Slark might die as well. He's so low on HP. He might actually just survive. He does. His ultimate, his passive pops, so he will be able to survive the fight, but at what cost? Who did they lose? They only lost the Treant Protector, who did... No, he didn't die back. He has bought back. So they have their whole lineup, whereas Fortune, they lost their core Viper, and they only have 4 heroes. The Jakiri, he has bought back and he is coming back, but they lost something in that team fight, and they have to be careful now. They know Empire. They do have some great team fight control with these big ultimates from the Tidehunter and also the tree. But also with the execution just now, the Slark just showing how slippery he can be. He actually goes for a Blink Dagger. Interesting pickup. This means he's still going to be squishy though. I'm a little worried about it, but it might pay off in the end. Invisibility Rune just picked up by the Earthshaker. He is going to roam around to see if he can set up any kills for his team. Jakiri, he is sitting up on the high ground for his Earthshaker buddy. Oh, what's this Jakiri want to do? He has Observer Ward and Sentry Ward, so he might be able to get rid of... No, that's theirs. Never mind. He's going to put their own Observer Ward up on the hill just so that Empire can't snag a Roshan quite easily. Let's look at the rest of these items picked up by both teams. So the Jakiro for Fortune, he hasn't got much. He is still that 5th position, so I'm not really expecting him to grab anything. He's pretty much in a similar position as the poor Treant Protector, who hasn't got anything. The Viper, he did use that BKB during the last fight, so just flexing how much money he has right now. And he has 2k gold in his inventory, ready to spend it on anything if he wants to. If he wants to go for a cheap item, he can pick up a Yasha, or if he wants to go for the Aghanim Scepter, it's also a choice just to have the long range initiation of the Viper Strike. Centaur Warrunner, he has 4 staff, so he will be able to get in and out of these fights, as well as able to use it on anyone who's engaged on during these team fights. So for example, let's say the Tinker is being initiated on by Team Empire, there can be a 4 staff from the Centaur to try and get his buddy out, or just stall for enough time for their team to get some really important return kills. Tinker, he actually went for Bloodstone, so interesting decision there, picking up a Bloodstone instead of something like maybe rushing the Dagon, or maybe going for Dagon and then into that E-Blade, just to have some extra damage for his team. But no, he wants to have the extra sustain and also a nice little HP pull for himself, so he won't be that squishy. He will have to have certain heroes really focus him down during these team fights. And lastly, our Earthshaker, yeah, he just picked up the medallion, and also got 2.5k gold. This guy is so... This guy... He's so rich. it's like he has his own apartment building and he's getting so much rent from all the people renting his building. Oh my goodness, this guy. It's a blade mail pickup on the Centaur War Runner, so he will have the damage reflect Razor, not Razor, the Viper being pretty aggressive. That there was a nice blink and hoof stomp onto the Rubik. Rubik gonna be picked off. So unfortunately, thinking he was safe behind the Raxes, unfortunately he wasn't, being blinked on by Fortune, and all 5 heroes, they will be here for Fortune. Viper, he is not afraid. He has the Aegis, and they're actually gonna grab a kill here on this Tree Protector. No, he manages to go invisible just in time. Razor, they're getting picked off from Empire. Also the Tidehunter died through the Ravage, but Slarky is going to be frozen up by the Jakiro, and he does get picked off. So 4 heroes down on the side of Empire. There is a buyback on the Tidehunter, but what can Tidehunter do? Is there any buyback on any of their heroes? There's nothing on the Slark. Slark actually bought back during that team fight? No. He must have bought back during a previous team fight, but this Tidehunter who just bought back getting picked off by the heroes of Fortune. Oh my goodness, this Tide is not having a great game. They're going to be able to get a return kill on the Centaur, though he is dropping pretty low. He does get finished off by the Leech Seed on the Tree Protector, but he is stuck by the Earthshaker Fissure, and he does get picked off. And Rubik, what can he do here? Actually, he's going to be picked off by the Tinker. Not even safe in the fountain, but Tinker does get punished. He comes back instantly because of his Bloodstone, though. So Empire, they lose their first set of racks. They might lose something else as well. They might lose the bottom. Jakiro, he has maxed out the Liquid Fire, I believe. There we go. It is maxed, and the tower's going to be attacking at half speed permanently as long as this Jakiro is focusing that Liquid Fire in the tower. So that's going to be an easy tower as well. 2 heroes, the 2 damage cores. Respawned already for Empire, but there is a blink in pounce by the Slark. Slark, you might be a little too greedy here. There is support here for Fortune, and he does get picked off. They do get a Jakiro kill, but at what cost? He might actually die here. Razor, he is dealing a lot of damage from the Viper, so Viper, he will die. He has to use his Aegis. There is the Echo Slam and the Fissure and the Enchant Totem. No, there's no Fissure, there's no mana on this Earthshaker, so only able to use that 2 spells, whereas Razor, he does die in the end. There is going to be a Leech Seed thrown out by the Tree Protector onto the Viper, but what else can they do? They don't have any damage dealers. Their Slark, he died because of being a little too greedy and trying to get a kill, and Razor, he did do significantly well, but aside from that, he got picked off in the end, and this might be the death of this tower here. So Fortune doing extremely well, and Tinker finishing off the Tidehunter right here, right next to the T4. He is not safe. Empire, their base is not safe. Oh my goodness. Fortune, they are so aggressive this game, and it really paid off for them. And unfortunately for Empire, I think this might be the end of this game. They're going to lose the second set of Raxes, and they don't have any amazing counter push if they lose that middle tower and the Raxes as well. So with Mega Creep, when Mega Creeps happen, what can they do? And Slark might get picked off again. He did pop the Shadow Dance. He is stunned for a long duration, but he is being poisoned out by the Viper, and he does die. And that's GG. That's a GG call. That's a GG call coming out from Empire's Razor. So GG, well played Empire, knowing that they could not come back from this game, especially when they're being farmed up in their own fountain. That normally means that, yeah, you're in a really bad spot. So GG, well played. Empire, they are being pushed down into the losers bracket, so they have one more chance to come back into the tournament, but if they do drop another game in the losers bracket, they are out. But Fortune, they played an extremely well game. They are going to continue on along in the bracket. So nice play by them, especially the Earthshaker. Earthshaker MVP during the game, roaming around, helping his team, creating space. So that standing Lawless, you did a miracle for your team today. But that's pretty much it for that game, guys. Thanks for watching. My name's Nino, and we're going to hop into the next game as soon as we can.